Hi and welcome, it's Remy. In this video, I'm going to share with you 8 tips to help you get started with landscape photography. Alright, so let's not waste more time and dive into it. Before we continue this video, I just wanted to give you a short update on my situation. So I have been traveling with my motorhome a few weeks in France, where I did some videos that you can find on my channel. And now I'm going towards the north of Norway in the Lofoten Islands with my motorhome again. And I'm recording all my videos here in my motorhome. That's kind of challenging, but seeing that you guys are watching it, just like I'm so delightful for that. So please keep watching if you like my content. I'm trying to produce as good content as I can, whether on teaching you, on sharing with you tips, on giving you inspiration. All of this is my goal. I do have some few projects in the Lofoten Islands and in the north of Norway. So if you want to see more of this, keep following me, keep watching my videos. That will be amazing. And I really hope that you enjoy it. The first tip of this series is to get an ultra wide angle lens. So ultra wide angle lenses are usually zoom lenses that goes from 12 millimeters to 30 millimeters for full frame and about 8 millimeters to 24 millimeters for APS-C cameras. So they are really helpful lenses when you want to capture scenes that have an interesting foreground and an imposing subject like a mountain, for example. And they are really helpful when you want to use them in portrait orientation because of the distortion they have. They will tend to extend both ends of the picture so that your foreground or your subject might be emphasized, or both actually. So they are really cool to use for this purpose. But the thing about these lenses is that they really need a lot of practice and learning. But don't worry about this. Once you master them, you will definitely get amazing pictures. And by the way, let me know if you'd be interested about me doing a video about wide angle lens. I'd be happy to do one. Let me know in the comment section below if you'd be interested actually. When you want to use one, you basically want to get close to the ground and with your lens a little bit inclined so that your foreground is a little more imposing. Take a little more space in your photograph, and then you will have your background and subject that will be also imposing in the photograph. The second tip of this series is also in the gear section, and it's actually to use a telephoto lens. So a telephoto lens is for full frame anything beyond 70 millimeters. These are usually zoom lenses, and for APS-C anything beyond 50-55 millimeters can be considered as a telephoto lens. And they are very helpful because they help you to have a very long reach and to be able to capture subjects that are very far away. So in this regard, they are very complementary to a wide angle lens. They help you isolate your subject and really focus on the details of a scene. So if you look at this image here, this was a picture I took in the morning where I was with friends in a chalet, like we were on a mountain trip, skiing and so on. And we woke up in the morning, and just before going to ski, I went on the balcony and I saw this mountain and the colors that were amazing. And I was on the balcony, so I was like really far away and in the village. And the village was not that pretty, and the view we had from the village was not that great. So in the end, I took my telephoto lens and I caught this mountain from the balcony, and I'm very pleased with the results. And that's what the telephoto lens helped me to do. So now the second thing that a telephoto lens does is that it compresses the foreground and the background, and therefore removes the sense of perspective that the viewer has. So if you look at this photograph, for example here, this is a picture I took in Namibia, and there was this tree standing still right in front of a dune where the wind was blowing and the sun was going in every directions. And that was really an epic moment. And actually each time I show this picture, people are like, wow, what's going on here? Is it real at all? And that's actually exactly what I wanted to do. Provide people with a photograph that they were not expecting, with a view they don't expect, and they don't really understand what's going on. And in this regard, the telephoto lens are really amazing. So now let's switch to the composition section, which is probably one of the most important sections of this video. The third tip of this series, and the first tip in the composition section, is the use of leading lines. In my opinion, there are only a few things that help to keep your viewer eyes more than a few seconds on your photographs, and the use of leading lines is part of them. Leading lines will create a sense of depth that will lead your viewer eyes into your photographs and toward your subject. So, of course, your subject can be the leading lines itself. For example, you could use a wall or a fence, or let's say stones on the ground. There are like various ways of doing so. But there are always leading lines that you can use to make a powerful picture. Usually the nicest way of including these leading lines is to use your wide-angle lens in either portrait orientation or landscape orientation, and try to take advantage of these leading lines. And trust me, once you master this, you will be able to make great photographs. The fourth tip is actually one of the most important of this whole video, and this is the learning of composition rules. There are like so many composition rules: the rule of third, the diagonals, the golden ratio, and there are like so many more. So you can learn them all. I'm not sure this is very useful. I'm using mostly the rule of third and the diagonals. So the rule of third helps me in general to get everything in place in my photograph. Whether I have a tree, whether I have a mountain, the sky, the foreground. Now, I'm not only using the rule of third, I am also using the diagonals. And the diagonals help me to get a sense of depth into my photographs. And this is especially helpful if you're using them in combination with the leading lines that I was mentioning before. So use the diagonals and use the leading lines together, and you will really create an amazing sense of depth and create a balance on your image. So, in my opinion, these are the two most useful composition rules that you can use. There are like so many more. Once again, try to use them, try to find the one that you prefer, but I believe that for landscape photography, using the rule of third and the diagonals will be the most helpful to you. The fifth tip of this series is using a frame within the frame. So actually using a frame within the frame is really interesting because it will drive your viewer's eyes directly into the subject. You can use as frame a stone, a door, a tree, whatever that can fill in the negative space or the empty space around your subject. So it doesn't have to be completely around your subject or around your frame of your photograph. It can only be like a part, and that will do the job too. The point is to have like a foreground that is going all around your frame. This is up to you and this is up to your creativity. But really, using a frame within the frame can create really amazing photographs if used properly. The sixth tip in this series, and the last one from the composition tips, is the photography of patterns and shapes. So using the patterns and shapes in your photography will open a whole new world of possibilities and definitely enhance your creativity and force you to look for something that you don't usually look for. So you would find these shapes and patterns on rocks, on a beach, on ice, sands in the desert. So you would use a telephoto lens to be able to capture some elements of a wider scene. So this is usually what we use the telephoto lens for, but in this case you would really isolate so that we don't really understand what we're photographing. And the second one will be to use a macro photo lens that would help you to focus on a very specific part of a subject. That could be a plant, that could be a tree trunk, or anything like that. Even if you have a lot of freedom here, don't think that the rule doesn't apply. You still need to have a photograph which is balanced, that have to be nice to look at, that's pleasing to the eyes. This is one of the most important things. Don't forget to use lighting and shading in your photographs too. Like for example on Zen, that can really create some amazing effects that you didn't think about at first, and then that will create some kind of dynamics into your photograph. So don't forget to use them as well. The seventh tip of this series is more of an advice or recommendation. This is to learn about light. You should learn about light to understand what is the sun doing, where is it rising, where is it setting, how will it impact your scene, will your subject be enlightened, will the scene be highlighted as you hope it to be. The most interesting moments of the day for landscape photographer are in the morning or in the evening at sunrise and sunset time, pretty much. Like a couple of minutes before, a couple of minutes after as well, but globally this is it. And learning how the light will impact your scene is extremely important. You can use the help of various tools for this. You can use apps like Photopills, weather apps as well that will tell you if there will be sun or no, like Windy. So really learn about the lighting, and this will enhance a lot the quality of your photograph. The 8 tips of this series is again a recommendation and an advice. So please don't be afraid of bad shoots. We all take bad shots, bad photographs. When you start taking photographs, you will take a lot of bad photographs, and that's totally fine because you are learning. Even pro photographs are taking bad photographs all the time. Don't think that each photograph that comes out from their camera is amazing. They take bad photographs too. They just tend to know all the previous rules I told you, and therefore when they're on set, they will tend to apply them in a much more efficient way than you do when you're starting. And so of course, in this case, they will tend to have a success rate which is much higher than yours. So don't be afraid of bad shots, really. Just make your shots and review your photograph. Just look at them and okay, if your photograph is not good, what is not good in there? Didn't you use good diagonals, good composition? Is it unbalanced? Is the light poor? Is it not in focus? I don't know. Whatever it is, try to not make the same mistake twice. Just learn from them. That's the most important thing here. Alright, so I guess that's it for this video. I really hope that you enjoyed watching it and that you learned something that you can apply in your future photography. So if you like the video, feel free to leave me a thumbs up. Or even if you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe to my channel with the subscribe button below. So in the meantime, I wish you good luck and see you later.